All right, let's get going. Talk a little bit about last week. What a football game to watch as a fan. You know, you don't enjoy it that much as a coach, but after going back and watching it, a lot of excitement in that game, a lot of big plays, two very good offenses that are hard to stop, and didn't disappoint anybody by the big plays on both sides. Two good quarterbacks, a lot of good receivers, and good running backs. Puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And we go into the game with a couple of cornerbacks, one being J.J. Pinckney, who pretty much we'd moved him a receiver about a month ago, started the game, and it's good to see him step up and make plays. And if you'd have told me we were going to start him and Lyndon Stevens at the other corner and Jalen Minor was going to play 90% of the game at middle linebacker, I'd been shaking my head a little bit about whether we could slow them down or get anything done on defense. But that's pretty much what we did, slowed them down. That's what you try to do, is keep away and stop big plays. We stopped our big plays most of the time other than the short yardage plays, and we got lined up wrong. And it cost us on defense. But overall, if you go back and look at that game defensively, we played pretty much how I thought we'd play other than just a few of those fourth down plays. And again, they have an offense that is growing in stature. We pretty much run the same offense, except we don't go as fast as they do. They run the same offensive running plays and do a lot of the things in the passing game that we do. But what a game to watch. But so I was proud of defense, even though we gave up the points and over 500 yards of offense. But they're going to do that on pretty much anybody. You just got to slow the bleeding down. And then, of course, us on offense. You know, Gunner got off to a little bit of a slow start, but really picked it up. I'm not mistaken. He pretty much had a good run right at the end, maybe 15 of 15 again at the end of the game of completions, making plays, and getting us in the right play. The first half, he did an excellent job of running the offense and checking off the line of scrimmage with no help from the sideline, getting us in the right running plays. And that's the reason we had so many running yards in the first half, was because, number one, we had to block them. Number two, you got pretty good running backs, but number three, you got to be in the right play. And so really proud of Gunner of what he did there, and then the offensive line creating the holes. So it was a big win for us. It got us back on the winning track. Going down to the final couple of games here, it gives us something positive to look at, something to build on. And again, we know where we've been on defense, but we're even though we gave up that many yards, we're still competing, we're getting better, and we're getting a lot of experience with some guys that should be backups right now, but they're our starters, and just because of certain circumstances. So it was a good night, and finished at home for the seniors and had that win that they'll always remember. Now we go on the road for a couple of weeks. South Florida, a very good football team, gotten better and better as the year's gone on. I saw their game early in the year against Florida State, and they was in that thing all the way to the end at Tallahassee, and I knew at that point, since they've changed offenses, gone to more of a running attack with a very athletic quarterback, that they would be much improved, and they hadn't disappointed anybody. They run up and down the field last week on probably the best defense in our conference. In Temple, it wasn't a shock to us what they did. I think it was a shock to a lot of people, but again, there's not a lot of difference in most teams in this league. When you play and you play hard and play well like they did last week, you're going to give a lot of people problems. So our defense has got their hands full again, playing a team that's not like Tulsa as much. It's more, there's two types of spreads. There's a throwing and a balanced spread and more of a running spread that does throw the ball some, and they throw it pretty well. But they want to run the football. They had a running back, I think, last week that rushed for over 220, 30 yards. We've seen him before. We've seen most of the offensive linemen. They've got a lot of athletes at receiver. It'll be one of the most athletic teams that we'll see over the years because of the type of players that they recruit. So defensively, we've got to prepare again for a team that goes fast, that goes quick, that has a lot of athletic ability, and we've got to tackle better. I think last week we missed 11 tackles in that game, and that's not what we want to do. Obviously, on defense is when it's your opportunity, you're going to be caught in space. You've got to tackle better than what we did last week. So, it's going to happen when you have young guys, especially in the secondary, that have to make plays that have missed tackles. And then on offense, we'll see a defense pretty much like ours. Same kind of philosophy, front four, four-man front, play some zone, some man, but it's, every week, their defense right now is looking at us as an offense that can put points on the board and move the ball. And what we do is each week now people know how explosive we are. We see different looks. And so if we adjust quick enough with our coaches to our players, it gives us a good opportunity to score a lot of points and make a lot of plays. And so that's the point that gets to us on offense now, is how do you adjust with the new things that you'll see, because everybody changes at the week that they get to us because of our receivers and how balanced we are in our offense. So should be a very good game. Another primetime national televised game. Give our recruits an opportunity to see us again on the road. We'll have 2 games in an 8-day period. Then we'll finish this thing up. But we feel good about our team. We're a better team right now than we were at any time last year. But we know we're playing better teams than we played last year, better athletes. And so we've got to get that over to our players and understand that we got to go play one of our better games this week, because South Florida's on a roll. They got bowl eligible, and they're ready to get after it. But they'll get our best shot also. So it'd be 2 good football teams playing against each other Saturday night at 8 o'clock in Tampa.
We still have a chance mathematically with weird combinations of circumstances, unlikely, I guess I should say, to win the division. Did you tell a player to talk about that, or you just feel so?
No, I've always had when you talk about championships and stuff, you talk about what you can control. We can't control what Temple's going to do. So when you can't control that, the only thing that you talk to your players about, hey, we got to control what we do and just see what happens after that. So there's a lot of pressure on kids playing anyway. So we want to continue to get better, and obviously we'll be watching a little bit about what's going on. But it's a moot point if we don't play well Friday and then the following Saturday at East Carolina. So I want our guys to enjoy the next 2 games. I want to enjoy that they've gotten better, that our seniors have done a good job of leadership with a lot of these young guys that are playing and are making plays now that we didn't count on at the beginning of the year. So we hadn't even talked about it. We just, hey, we're just going to take it this week and just see if we can play better, because we'll have to play a real good football game this week. And so if you take any time away from your game preparation against South Florida, we'll end up on the short end of the stick.
Is Gunner pretty much back to being the #1 quarterback now, because Hayden hasn't played for several games?
Yeah, well, he is. I'm still making him compete, but the thing that Gunner has had that we've talked about in here for the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's got the experience. And just going through last week's practice, Eddie Grant and Henshaw and I sat down and we talk after every practice, and Gunner's so much farther along of changing the play at the line of scrimmage and the protection. There's not a lot of difference, and of course the athletic ability of Hayden is obvious. He's a little bit more agile, but when it comes to getting you in the right play, that's more of what the quarterback should do than the execution part after the ball's snapped. Because if you're not in the right play, for instance, last week we had that good running game going. Just a simple fact that when they were in a certain few sets, we had to change it and get us to go to something else. In the week of practice, Hayden didn't do a very good job of that. He has a hard time, just a simple fact that he hadn't done it much. But he will get better and better at that. So because of that, it's going to get tighter and tighter as we go through, the next 2 games, bowl practice and through spring practice and through next year. So, but Gunner, again, he's throwing the ball well too. He threw that one up for grabs. We can't do that in these 2 games. You can't throw the ball up for grabs like he did. There was a couple of times that they had a pretty good chance for interceptions, but he also put some on the money. Not many quarterbacks could make that throw consistently to Max Morrison that Gunner threw over the middle, 1 foot in bounds, and a couple of 3rd down throws that he made. So Gunner's he's ahead, as we obviously know. He's ahead mentally and physically because he's gotten back into the game. But again, we want to keep throwing that bone out there for Hayden, so he will continue to learn and understand he can go in at any time.
For Gunner down the stretch here, it's also a chance to show what he's got to go to the next level. Is that something that you guys as a coaching staff coming down the stretch. This is your final chance to put some good stuff on game.
Yeah, you know, I let them talk to pro scouts when they come in. I let them sit down and visit, and because I want them to know what they're saying up there in terms of what they need to work on, how they need to improve. When it's time for them to go to the NFL, I'm ready for them to go if they think it's, you know, because it's their future, their life. I'm not saying anybody that we have that's a junior is ready to go. We have some seniors that obviously they got no choice but to get to ready. We'll have a couple of guys drafted this year for the first time in a long time. We hadn't had any draftable players. So, but you know, I have a different idea about that. And I've had over the years, a lot of coaches let pro scouts in for a couple of weeks and evaluate. I let them come every week. I want them to come. I want them to look at our players. I want to feed off of them as a coaching staff, and then I want them to sit down, you know, 10, 15 minutes during the week, you know, if they're from Tampa Bay, if they're from Baltimore, or they're from Phoenix, hey, listen, you know, we like what you're doing here. They evaluate them, your arm strength or your running ability, your blocking ability, your strength, your size if you're an offensive lineman. I think it's good. I really do. I'm not one of those guys that you know, just afraid that, you know, they're going to get different ideas in their heads. I mean, this is their life, and I want them to get all the help they possibly can get of becoming the best player if they've got that opportunity to go to the next level, which some of the guys that we have on this team will have that opportunity.
Which guys do you think will get drafted?
You know, I don't know. Obviously, we got receivers. They're highly rated. Pretty much all of them. They all have their different strengths. It just depends on, you know, some teams look for speed, some teams look for hands, possession receivers. Some teams look for guys that can run better routes, that can get open in zone and man. You know, of course, Jose's a small running back, but there's been some interest in him. Obviously, Parker is a guy that you know, they look at as could play possibly right tackle or guard. You know, in the NFL, they do it totally different than we do. So you know, they're looking for specifics, a lot more detail than what we look for, because that's a different level. But again, that's the reason I like these pro scouts to come in. I want these guys to know where they stand and what they've got to do, and don't wait till they get January and February to train for the workout days. I want them to know right now what they can start working on to make themselves better. So. To answer your point there, you know, it's all those guys, all the receivers, you know, Shaq, it's amazing. There'll be one guy come in one day and they'll really like Johnny Holton because of his speed. The next guy will come in, you know, hey, you know, I like him, but I really like Shaq Washington catching every ball that you throw. I mean, he doesn't drop any. And because different teams look for different type of players. And there's no doubt that I think all of them can, all the receivers, seniors that we have will have an opportunity, whether they're drafted or be a free agent, will have an opportunity to make a team, and most of them will, you know, if they go to the right team. That's a big deal to go to the right team. You don't want to go somewhere where they're not looking for receivers, but you know, you go and you're a camp guy. You need to go where you're needed, and so I think that helps a lot too. These pro scouts coming in, they'll tell them, hey, we're going to look for 2 receivers this year, or we're looking for 1 possession guy. We're looking for somebody that can stretch the field with speed. And you know, what is there, 32 teams, and so there's not that many taken. But we have had every team covered, right, guys? And a lot of them more than once. Last year we had just a few scouts come in. This year they've all been here through the summer, through the spring. I let them come to camp. They've watched us play. They've watched us practice, and you know, I'm very encouraged with what a lot of these scouts are saying about most of the seniors.
What are a couple keys in this game? Statistically, they have one of the best rushing teams in the country.
Yeah, as I said.
What are the keys?
Well, you know, they're a spread team. They're like Houston, and you know, they want to run it first, throw it second. Tulsa was more of a throw it first, run it second, and so you're going to see those different types. So you got to go in a different direction. But it's obvious you got to tackle that. Last week they didn't lay a hand on their running back in 4 or 5 plays. They just hit a seam and went. We got to be a technique game. We got to tackle better than we did last week. We got to play a lot of people. You know, it's a little bit hot and humid down there. We found that out last time that we played in Tampa, and we know that's going to be 70s, 80s, but the humidity is what drains you a little bit. We're a little bit tired right now, but everybody is this time of year, and so it's we've got to go in. We've got to play sound football. That's what Temple didn't do. I mean, they didn't do anything equal. They moved their guys and they just missed tackles and they got misaligned. And you can't do that against a team that's got a running back and a quarterback like they have. And then on offense, we've got to play not just we got to play a great game. But we've played some great games this year, and we got to play well on the road. I think we've only won one road game, if I'm not mistaken. Miami. The rest of them have been close, but close doesn't count. So, no excuse. I mean, we've got a good football team. We do have some guys beat up. So do they. I mean, it should be a good TV game for people to watch from our conference. Two teams that have, I think, gotten better as the year's gone on. And our better team that I've had since I've been here, and I know Willie Taggart's. He, as I said yesterday in the press conference, he inherited a complete mess, and he hadn't done very well. He's hadn't been to a bowl game. Pressure was on him this year, and they've responded. And he's a good football coach, and he was sharp enough to realize, hey, I gotta do something different on offense, because he's been a West Coast guy. Now he's gone to the other side. He's spread, but he's got the players to do it, and I'm proud for Willie, because he's one of the better young coaches in college football.
How much of a barometer is it? Like you mentioned that UC hasn't had any draft picks for last year. How much of a barometer of the program's strength is it to have draft picks?
You got to have them. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, if you look at some of the teams we played, I think last year we played Louisville, there was 7 or 8, and Louisville had 9 or 10 last year drafted. I mean, it goes hand in hand. You've got to have big time college football players, but you don't have to have them all. That's a great thing about college football. You can win a lot of games with just good players, in which that's what you try to get. But to play on that next level, you got to be better than good, and you got to have a few of them on your team, and a lot of positions, not just 1 or 2. And so our recruiting, since I've been here, we go out and we recruit athletes. Because if you're not an athlete, you got no chance to play for us very well here, nor have a chance to go to the next level. So, we look at the best athletes available, and then we look at size after that. I don't look at size first. I look at athletic ability first. And we played a lot of smaller guys in the last few years that have really played well against us. And so the more athletes you get on the team, the better chance you got of being more consistent. And that's what we're trying to be more consistent. Now we're trying to persevere through the end of the year, simply the fact that it is the end. And end of November is always tough on every football team, because you're beat up, you're tired, you're sore. It's been a long season, but that's when you just got to push that much harder.
Was Austin's tall wide out here as Derek? Was that the toughest wide receiver that you faced this year?
One toughest I've faced in a long time. I mean, that kid was good. I don't know, is he a sophomore, junior, his senior? Thank goodness, because at the first of the game they threw 2 to him, maybe threw 3 in a row, and I'm thinking we're going to have to sit here and watch this all night, because it's we could have put J.J. Pinckney on him, which he was some, and J.J.'s almost 6'2", and he looked like a midget, trying to cover him.
I was going to ask if you would flip your boundary cornerback and field cornerback, so I think you would have matched up with it. But they put him at the other side some, yeah. So you couldn't do that. And a lot of times we try to put a bigger guy into the boundary, because people try to throw the deeper ball in the boundary because they're closer. It's harder to throw when you're on this hash and you're outside the numbers. You got to have a heck of an arm to get it to a guy that far, because you're throwing the ball 60 yards in the air. So yeah, we play games with that. We do. Now if we'd have had Quiddy and Grant Coleman, that they stay on both sides, they know how to play. Both of them know, there's no difference. But when you got, but J.J. Pinckney is going to be a big-time player. I mean, because he's got the height, and it's hard to find those guys. And so we're all sitting there, and I know y'all were doing the same thing. And they didn't come in here to run the ball. They came in here to go right after both of our redshirt freshman corners.
and our guys held their own for the most part. You know, they got it behind them some. Sometimes they put the big man inside and mashing him up with Leviticus. And now that the height, you know, the athletic ability is about the same, but the height advantage is a little bit of a difference. So they did a good job. They did a good job with him, but he is a force. I'm glad to hear that he was a senior. But after about 4 or 5 plays, I'm going, we got to watch this for about 90 to 100 plays tonight. This is going to be a long night. Well, you can't do that because you can only run so many 50-yard dashes, you know, in a game. I mean, you can't wear him down. But they threw to him more than I want them to throw to him. I tell you that. And he'll have a chance to play on the next level. And that little quarterback got it, you know, gets it to him quick. So we were fortunate on a couple of passes to make those plays. But he's the best one we've seen. And bigger than I thought. I mean, you see him on film, and then I get out standing out there and watch him warm up. I'm going, uh-oh, this could not be good. But I tell you, we held our own. I was proud of our young guys.
Mike Bowen had 138 all-purpose yards. Do you feel like he's trying to get into a rhythm right now?
Yeah.
Before the season, get a little help?
Yeah, getting healthier. You know, everybody, I get more emails. Run Mike Boone more. Run Mike Boone more. I mean, 20 carries is a lot, you know, in college football. And then you have to protect. And we're very fortunate this year that, you know, last year we ended up the season, if I remember right, Mike was really the only healthy guy, 100% that we had. And lucky to have him, because if we don't pull a red shirt off of him, we probably don't win but about 6 games. He helped us win some games down the stretch. Now this year, he was a little banged up, and Tion's carried the load along with Jose. But it's good to have those 3. They look a lot fresher this time of year. That's kind of our ace in the hole, is having those 3 guys that can roll in, and you got a defense out there that's kind of wearing down, and you put a guy that's been standing over there relaxing, you know, got a drink of water, ready to go, biting his tongue trying to get in there. It's good to have all those guys. So that's if we've got one strength, that's probably what we have going with 3 fresh running backs with the way we got our running game going. It's really helping. It's going to help the passing game also. We're, you know, you look at the scoreboard, and we're pretty balanced each week. We're going to always throw a little bit more than we run, but if we can get over 200 yards, that's a heck of a game.